What's up, guys? Back at you with another IC recap. This week is from May 3rd, and Pastor Brandon was preaching on our series, Walk It Out, going from knowledge to living. And our main verse for the series is Ephesians 5:8, which reads, For you were once in darkness, but now you are the light in the Lord. Live as children of light. For the fruit of the light consists of all goodness, righteousness, and truth. And find out what pleases the Lord. Have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. And it goes on. You could actually probably read 8 to 20 to get a whole synopsis of like what this is talking about. But he's really talking just about being the light and being the new creation that God has gave us to be, right? God, we are a new creation in Christ, and we should live that out. We shouldn't live in our past habits, our past traits, right? We are a new creation in Christ, so we should act like it. We should live in it because it's so fruitful and it's so much better than anything we could ever do, right? But one of his main points this week was forgiveness, and it was something that really hit me because I can be so eager, maybe not eager is the right word. I can be so willing to forgive others, right? I can forgive you for this, like just like Jesus forgave me, I can forgive you, right? But what he really touched on was you need to forgive yourself. Like I need to forgive myself. And I was like, whoa, that should be just as important as forgiving others, right? And it hit me because I feel like that's such a hard thing for a lot of people to do. I got my notes here, so I'm reading from my notes. But like he talks about so much other stuff. He talks about healthy boundaries when you're forgiving people. He goes into letting go of bitterness and all these things, that when you are a new creation in Christ, you have access to all these things. You are all these things, and you should just release it to God, and you should just trust God with it, right? Release it and trust God with the rest is what I like to say. But the one thing that stuck with me is that you need to forgive yourself. And it can be such a easy thing to say and a hard thing to receive, right? One point he wrote is there is no condemnation in Christ. So like Christ isn't shaming us. He's not putting us down. He's not saying we're bad people for the things we did. He's saying, I see what you did. I recognize it and I understand everything that you did. But I still choose to forgive you, and I still choose you for the purpose I have for your life. And if Christ can do that, we should be able to forgive ourselves. And it just hit me. I was like, wow, like, you're right. Like, I've been holding up all this stuff from the past. I mean, I can probably say for all of us that we've all had stuff that we've been holding on to, maybe without even knowing it, but just things we've held on to that we haven't truly forgiven ourselves for, that Christ has forgiven us for. And he sees it and he's like, okay, so what? Like, you did this, I forgive you. Now we're on to the next thing I have planned for you. He's not going to hold that over you. Neither should you. He's not going to remember. He's not going to keep it just in case, something happened again. He's like, oh, remember when you did this? Like, no, he forgives you and then he forgets. And that's what we should do. And that was something that just stuck with me for like the rest of the week, was like, wow, I really need to focus on forgiving myself just as much as I forgive others, right? Still forgive others just as Christ forgives me, but also forgive me just as Christ forgives me. I think it's something that can be really looked over, and I feel like we should just all kind of like take some moments this week and really just work on forgiving others and forgiving ourselves. There's another point that Brandon had that I really liked, and he talked about salvation versus sanctification versus salvation. And we don't need to earn salvation, right? We don't earn that. It's just something we freely receive. But sanctification is the process of just like living our new life. Like when we do receive salvation, when you do receive this new life, you're gonna feel convicted for things that you did in the past that take you away from God. And I thought it was just a really good point. And the link will be in the description for the whole video. I highly recommend you go watch it. But it was just awesome to see how he depicted that and really just explained it. And it was awesome. And that the real key of that is that salvation is a gift from Jesus, that we don't need to earn it. There's nothing we need to do. It's not by our works, but it's by grace. There's a verse in Romans, I forget the exact verse. It's Romans, I think it might be Romans 8 or 11, I don't know. But if it's salvation, basically, salvation is a gift and it's not by our works, right? So if it's not by our works and if it's by grace, then there's nothing we can do to earn it. So we just have to freely receive it. And I just think that's such an important point to go throughout the rest of this series. And it's kind of like the foundation for the rest of it. So we need to forgive ourselves just as we forgive others, just like Christ forgives us. We need to realize that salvation is it's a gift. We don't need to earn it. We can't do anything to get it. We just have to receive. And those are just like two things, and that we're a new creation in Christ. And since we are a new creation in Christ, we can change from what we used to be and walk freely in the life Jesus has for us. Those are just some things I picked up from this week. Like I said, the link in the description will be for the video. So I highly recommend you go watch that. I'll see you guys next week for the recap. Peace.